Okay, perfect. Well, hello, good morning, welcome. My name is Toby. I'm one of the librarians here. Small group today, so I think we can all say hi. If you feel comfortable, you can go in the chat or you can go ahead and share out loud. I'll start with the folks in the room. What's your name?
I'm Chris,
Chris, and you said you're studying
uh, network administrator.
network administration. All right, thanks for being here. And
I am Melinda. I am one of the librarians here at FCC.
all right, thank you. And in chat, we have two folks. I know one of them is maybe not able to unmute, but
Hi, I'm Laura, and I am also a student at SCC. I'm dual majoring in business and accounting right now, but I achieved the library science degree at SFCC back in 2004 and worked in libraries for about 12 years. And I'm just kind of getting back into the game after being a stay-at-home mom.
fantastic. Well, we're happy to have you here. I think if I remember, you came to the previous workshop on Gen AI this quarter as well.
I did, and I have quite an interest, and I use it quite a lot, so yeah.
All right, fantastic. Thanks for being here. And hi, Greg. Thanks for being here. Greg is another librarian here as well. So we are here for Un-AI-Voidable, question mark, unavoidable. And we're here today to talk about integration. So seeing generative AI integrated into technology that we regularly use. Today, we're talking about integration in search. So AI search results that we're seeing online, things like Google and whatnot. And next week, we'll also be talking about this topic, integrations, but we're going to be looking at Gen AI integrated into workplace. I hope you can come to that too, Laura. I hope you can come if you're interested. Laura, you mentioned using it at work, and we'll talk about that next week too. So overall, this series, this quarter is asking these questions. Are we moving into a future where generative AI is unavoidable? Right? Is that where we're going? How does the integration of generative AI impact our online lives? What are we seeing in our daily lives online that is being impacted by generative AI? And how do we decide what to trust? So here in the library, we like to talk a lot about trust, about information literacy. How do we find information? How do we evaluate information? And how does this change now with Gen AI? How are we deciding what to trust in the Gen AI era? And with this series, Un-AI-Voidable, we're also bringing the question into consideration of opting out. Do we want to opt out, right? And if we do want to opt out of generative AI-generated information, can we? Is that an option for us? So I'm not going to be able to answer all these questions. This is food for thought, things to think about. And we'll get feedback throughout the workshop. So I do hope that this can be interactive. We have a few interactive QR code kind of, what am I thinking of? Not quizzes, but polls for us today to evaluate this. And if you have thoughts that you want to share, questions that come up, please feel free to raise your hand, unmute, shout it out. So today we're going to explain a little bit of background about search. So how does traditional search work? How does generative AI change that? Looking at some current trends, how are people interacting with, encountering, and using Gen AI search results? We're going to do a little practice engaging with some of these, and we're going to explain how to turn off or perhaps see how challenging it is to turn off generative AI features in major search engines online. And throughout all of this, as I said, we do want to hear your feedback and discuss this. These are questions I think we're all grappling with. I certainly don't have the answers for you today. I wish I did, but I'm so glad to see you here and to see us all thinking about these questions and coming up with our own thoughts on them. So we'll be discussing today, how AI-generated answers affect or interact with critical thinking. Right? What is our relationship there? What this session isn't, we're not here today to advocate either way, to say, this is fantastic, let's use this, or this is absolutely terrible, let's ban this. We need to go into the courtrooms and pass legislation. We're not making a stance on either of that here today. Hopefully what this session is just an invitation to think critically about the integration of AI and the use and evaluation of AI generated information. And hopefully a safe place for discussion, as I've said. All right. So here's our first one today. If you could go ahead and join on your phone, or if you'd prefer to do it on a computer, there is a link here, QR code. And I'm going to have to back out of this in just a moment. I can see you typing it in, so I will share the link to chat, absolutely. We just have one in the room copying that link right now. Actually, I'm in. Did that not work for you? Do one more time. So it's ahaslides.com/BJ5K3. Thanks, Greg. All right. And it did, in fact, show it there. I can see 4 people in here. That's how many we want to see. So right off the bat, have you seen this? Have you encountered this in your everyday life? Have you seen GenAI answers integrated into search results? Yeah. 100% said yes. Yeah. And so where have you seen it? What search engine or engines are you using where you've seen this?
I definitely use Google.
Google. Yep.
Just Brave search, something.
Brave search.
Yeah.
And have you seen it on Brave search as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's good
Yep.
for privacy. Is that correct? Brave search?
Brave is more of a privacy generated.
More of a, yeah, kind of like DuckDuckGo.
DuckDuckGo has AI search results
I
now,
know.
too.
DuckDuck disappointed. I'm bummed about that. I liked my privacy on there. Thanks, Greg. Yeah, I think we're all seeing it every day. If we're doing a search, we've probably encountered it. And so straight to the meat of the matter, do you trust it? When you see it, do you trust it? And we have a few options for you here. We have yes, completely, 100% of the time. We have yes, sometimes. We have no, never. And we have other, because maybe you fall somewhere else in there. And other, all right. I love it. One other. All right, would anyone like to share your thoughts on this? What is the other, or what is the sometimes when you do or you don't?
It depends on how reliable it can be.
Sure.
There are times where
Mhm.
it gave me the wrong answer and I didn't realize it came after I submitted something.
Okay, yeah,
That's
absolutely. Yeah, and you're cutting right to the core of the matter, right? Do we trust this? Can it be correct? Right? Yeah.
I think it's a very nuanced question, because of just the nature of how generative AI gathers data, because you can never be sure if it's intellectual property, if it's IP or not.
Great point.
And then I've also had, hallucinations happen with stuff that actually had true references out there. And I've, had to check the AI and be like, no, you're wrong and you're hallucinating, and stop doing that. So, I go into using it as like, I don't trust it, but it's a tool, right? It's
Right.
it's a tool, and it's, yeah. Anyway, I just think it's a very powerful
No,
tool,
absolutely.
and the way that it gathers data is questionable. And so, and then also it hallucinates a lot. So you really have to evaluate everything it gives you.
Absolutely. Yep, completely agree with you there, Laura. Completely agree. Yeah, and hallucinations, maybe that's what you encountered. It gave you the wrong information.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were some really funny examples when Google's AI overview first came out of such hallucinations or such incorrect information. One of the main ones that I saw go kind of viral was somebody asked a question, how do I get my cheese to stick to my pizza? And the AI overview said you could use glue to get your cheese to stick to your pizza because someone on Reddit made a joke that this was an AI just grabbed it and said, also glue on your pizza.
Only a database.
Yep. Yep. So yeah, I think I'm glad to see we're not completely trusting it. I do think overall, and to what Laura was saying, we do need to be critical, and sometimes we have to learn that lesson through trusting it when maybe we shouldn't have. But that's okay, because we can go forward. And there are certain types of questions and queries and ways it can be helpful. As Greg said, if this is something that maybe I've learned before and I just need to jog my memory, who was that actor in that movie? Maybe that is really helpful. So sometimes it can cut down on the amount of time that we're spending looking for information, but it's really that evaluation that's key. All right, and an open-ended one here, just want to test the waters. How would you describe your current feelings around Gen AI answers in search results? So any words or any thoughts that come to mind, how do you feel about this happening, this change, this pretty massive change in the way that we're searching for and finding information? I know it can be kind of tough to summarize your thoughts and your feelings in a few words, but
I don't like it in my search results.
you don't like it. Yeah.
If I want to use Gen AI for something, I'm going to go to one of the Gen AI engines and use it directly as that tool. Like it really feels like it, yeah, it like whoever, yes, it gets in the way. Yeah, it overcomplicates things.
Disrupts.
Yeah.
Invasive, maybe. It feels kind of, I didn't ask for this. You're doing this without my permission.
Yes, that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a really important point. You brought up intellectual property, you brought up privacy. And in researching this workshop, I'll say it was very hard to find information about that. Really, what is happening to our queries? How are our queries being used, right, behind the scenes? Are we able to opt in? Are we able to opt out? Yeah. No permission gets in the way, trepidation. Ooh, frustrating, copyright. Absolutely. Yeah.
Definitely one for me is I've had my own segments copied over.
Yeah.
Didn't give permission.
Yes, absolutely. It's a massive, massive question, concern, issue with this technology. And there's tons of cases in the courts right now about intellectual property and copyright. And it just seems to continuously, again, be integrated into our lives. No one's asking us. Suddenly it's just there. And I have to say, we've done quite a few of these Gen AI workshops, and we often ask a question like this about feelings. And I find that these answers really interesting. And I share a lot of these concerns, but usually we do get a few positive, excited. So I find this fascinating, and thank you so much for sharing. Invasive, frustrating, overwhelming, forced, de-optimization, environmental impact. Yeah. So we're feeling a little nervous about this. Maybe when it was, you have to go over to ChatGPT or you have to go over to Gemini, you're in the driver's seat a bit more, you have a bit more choice. And now that we're getting to the point of integration, we're starting to feel like, hold up, I didn't agree to this. Perhaps. All right. Okay, well, thank you so much for answering. Let's jump into looking into this a bit. Oh, love that. A bit more. Okay, so we're talking about online search here, and I wanted to just do a little brief history of online search. So where did we come from and kind of where are we moving into? But what about before online search? Where do you think people went to find information before the internet, before online search? Yeah, I say we got four people with library backgrounds in this room. Yep, absolutely. My title here is a reference librarian. And yeah, that's what we were here for, to provide reference to information. Well, we were here for a lot and still are. Thank you, Laura. Yep, libraries, shout out libraries. And so I do still feel that we have a really important role to play in these conversations around information literacy or around finding, using, evaluating information. Online, we're looking at about 1994. I do have links in this to the citations. Yahoo came out first, it sounds like. I learned this as well, as a hierarchical directory of websites.
They just went bankrupt.
They just went bankrupt. That's a fascinating point to bring up in this context. Yeah. Yeah. And so we're looking at more like a phone book here, right? You can look it up. It's more of just a directory, rather than really having a way to navigate through that information, query or ask questions about that. That happened more towards the late 90s when the technology emerged to crawl and index the content online. So we were able to have more pointed searches here, crawling basically like a spider, right? Going through all the websites, going through all of the words on the websites and organizing them, indexing them, cataloging them in some way to make that searchable. That was in about the late 90s. I remember Alta Vista myself. Web crawler was another one. 1998 is when Google hit the scene, and what Google changed was ranking and relevance. So Google came out and they had an algorithm that evaluated and ranked content for relevance. So instead of it just being this information exists on all of these, there's something that is determining for us what information is most relevant to our ask, to our search, right? We are going to be talking a bit more about Google today because it is admittedly, the #1 search engine that we use here, to the point that we use it as a verb for searching, right? We Google something. And Google really changed the game of search because of that ranking system for relevance. It stayed very much under wraps as far as exactly what goes into the relevance ranking. And there's a lot to be said for and to question, what that means for us when a third party is determining what information is #1, #2, #3. And I think those questions really, really are going to be highlighted and really come into play now with GenAI. 2012, we saw another change. Google started having these featured snippets or knowledge panels. A link here to explain more. And these began to more directly, instead of linking you to providing a link to a website that Google believed was going to give you the information you wanted, these actually provided you that information. So it's kind of, I would say, the precursor to our AI overviews, and knowledge panel technology has influenced what Google has done with the AI overview. So the information source on this remained traceable. You might search for a book or search for a movie, and you'd see to the right-hand side, you'd see some information from Wikipedia, on the author's name or the date that book came out or something like that. I think we've probably encountered these before. And it was May 2024 that Google's AI overview was launched, providing an AI-generated answer using the large language model Gemini to a Google search. And we've all seen it. So to the question of who is doing this, I think everyone is doing this. Google has Gemini. Bing was mentioned in the chat, is using Copilot large language model. Yahoo is using Claude. Scout is what they call theirs. DuckDuckGo was mentioned too. Yep, as I said.
There's Rufus with Amazon.
Rufus with Amazon. Oh yeah, the little helper.
Yeah.
Yeah, that little helper in there. We're seeing these .ai domains as well, duck.ai, if you want to go directly to their AI search. And then to the point that Laura made, there's something else as well to be considered with all of this, which is skipping the search engine entirely, skipping Google and going directly to the large language model. So going and doing your search in ChatGPT, doing your search in Gemini, or doing your search in something like Perplexity, which brands itself as an AI answer engine, right? That is what it is aiming to do here. You mentioned Rufus. Any others that come to mind? And you mentioned Brave as well.
Leo.
Leo.
Made for Brave search.
Okay, Leo has Brave search, and I see the lion Brave. I see some typing in the chat there. Accidental typing, intentional typing. The point here again to our overall topic, unavoidable, is it everywhere? Can we avoid this technology? Yeah. And Greg is asking in the chat, do you think the search engines are responding to Perplexity? Right? I feel like Perplexity came out first and then search integration happened everywhere. It's a good question, right? Was that technology where was people like Google concerned about Perplexity taking a large share of the market? Right? I think it's an important question to ask. Certainly so much of this links back to staying relevant. As you mentioned, Yahoo, right, may no longer be around. And are these search engines doing everything that they can to remain relevant? Were they seeing sites like Perplexity, ChatGPT, Gemini as competition for online search?
Specifically with Gemini, there's different new versions coming out
Mhm.
as things update, things need to get stronger,
Mhm.
like more responsive. There's different versions of it, like Pro 2, Pro 3, or whatever.
Right. I feel that every time we do one of these workshops, there's just so much to discuss, because immediately when you say that as well, I think about access and I think about paywalls and what happens when something like a better version is put behind a paywall that one person can access it and another person cannot, versus our Google, which was readily available, right, to everyone. So what does that bring up for us as well? We won't have time to get into all of it, as always. But the point here being, everyone is integrating GenAI into search, and maybe what we'll see is the opposite response. Maybe we'll see a search engine hit the scene, something new that is the backlash from this, that gives the people the opportunity to opt out and becomes popular for their lack of using GenAI. Maybe. Okay, how is this happening? So we're seeing what we saw in the past was a query, a question, a search, and then the results. And there were proprietary algorithms that were ranking that for relevance and whatnot. But the new piece is that large language model synthesis and summarization. So you're doing your search and the large language model is making some decisions here to find the information, synthesize it, and summarize it in a way that is provided to you then in the overview. This is referred to, or a term that is used in this process, and all the technicalities of it, I can't say that I understand myself, but retrieval augmented generation, RAG, is the term that is used here. So the generative search engine retrieved the pages and the closest match to the query, extracted the relevant information, augmented the query with the retrieved information, and used the large language model to generate a coherent response, right? So I'm personally very interested in these words, extracted and augmented. Extracted and augmented, again, to that question of who, what, right? Is there a third party coming in to my information now? Who is making these decisions about what is relevant to my question and what is being augmented, right? How is that decision being made about what is being shared? I'm not making it, right? I'm not making it. And as we continue to go on and on and on, more and more and more people are using these responses. What does that then mean? Are we missing information? Are we collectively, is there the potential for information to be hidden from us? I don't know. I highly recommend taking a look at this link. It's included at the end of the presentation as well. A very, very interesting article from UW. So right now we are seeing links to the information included in the summary, and we're being told that those links are where the model is getting that information from. We're being told, right?
You still have to use a website address for it to follow. It has to look for that website address.
Yeah.
To gather the information.
To gather it, yep. Absolutely. So we can, in theory, trace that and go down and look at that link and confirm the information that we've been provided. But I don't know if people are doing this. I don't know if we are doing this.
Specifically, GenAI includes the link where it gets all its information out of the bottom of your search query.
And do you click that link?
I do, yes.
Yes.
It's good for
Good.
research paper.
But. And something important to note here at this time, an AI overview may not appear for all queries. So it's not happening every single time we do a Google search or a Bing search, but it is happening a lot of the time. Looking specifically at Google, again, just one of the biggest ones. Something to note on this is grounding. So grounding is what Google says is helping to prevent hallucination. So I'd recommend looking into that a little bit more. And I found this quote to be very interesting, a Google spokesperson via Wired. And again, thinking about what biases might be present here. Emphasis added here, but they said you'll find the overviews in your search results when our systems determine that generative AI can be especially helpful. So when our systems determine, again, that's my emphasis added, but I do find that to be something important to consider. To the question of whether people are using these, we've all encountered them. Maybe we've all used them to some extent. A report found between 2024 and 2025, traffic from organic search was down by 1/3 globally and by 38% in the US. Now, they weren't able to say for sure whether this was down to AI overviews, but it's certainly something to think about. That traffic is down, so people maybe aren't visiting websites as much as they were in the past. And Pew Research did a fascinating study, again linked here, and this was March 2025, so a year ago now. About 6 in 10 respondents, 58%, encountered an AI-generated summary at that time. And they found that users were less likely to click on results when they got an AI summary. They very rarely clicked on the sources cited. I have an infographic here that dives into that data a bit more. And we can see here pages with an AI summary. We have about 1%, percent of Google searches that resulted in the user clicking on a link in the summary, very low. And clicking on a link from the search results was very low compared to what it had been to pages without the AI summary. All of this is to say people are using these, are encountering these, and we are seeing that when these are encountered, there's less of a likelihood of continuing down to find the source of that information. There's trust being placed in the summary itself. And again, from that same study, this is looking at where it's coming from. So I think a very important question to ask, where is that information coming from? For the AI summary, we were seeing higher rates of information coming from Wikipedia and .gov websites than we were for standard search results, which is also interesting. Okay. Running out of time as always. So pause for thoughts. Do any issues or advantages come to mind? Anything right now that you're thinking, that's a problem? Or maybe you're thinking, hey, Wikipedia and .gov, hey, maybe that's better than Reddit. Maybe that would be okay. Or what if we just did .edu, or what if we, so I don't know. What do you think? Anything that comes to mind? You can say that.
With at least the AI portion, I've had so many issues with it where
Yeah.
I have some times where it will not give me the correct answer, but it will also cut out. Like yesterday when I was using it to help me with seeing if the answer was correct on an assignment, it kept crashing, disconnecting.
Okay, yeah. And that maybe we mentioned access issues before, right? Access issues influenced by a paywall or influenced by our access to the internet, right? Those are important.
For instance, you have to be a paid member if you can pro site
Yep,
to get the best results.
exactly. What does that do?
Member, so I get that for free.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
just.
Yeah,
There's also, what does the AI have access to? A lot of good information that's behind paywalls.
Yeah.
And if we're working on only open source, open access information, may or may not be credible. So it's working from, PubMed, is it going to PubMed, which is maybe open source and reliable, or is it going to WebMD?
Yeah.
And is it going to,
Mhm.
and not that it's completely bad, but I feel like that there's a depth of missing information that it may or may not have access to. I actually don't know
Yeah.
that it has access to all of these, may have access to just the abstracts. I don't know.
It depends on what data brokers sell the company.
I mean, yeah,
And they're not sharing that with us, are they?
right, no, they're not sharing that. And then, again, what does that push up to the top? What does that prioritize
Yeah.
In an AI, environment? And then also just the lack of critical thinking or the ease at which it's giving us supposedly an answer. Are people going to become complacent and just take what's given instead of thinking more critically in general?
Absolutely. I think that's,
I mean, we didn't even before the AI stuff. I mean, how many people clicked on the second or third page of Google? And when they started really prioritizing paid ads, paid content, people aren't going to the second, third, fourth page of Google. They're staying on that first page. And now it's all ads anyway. And in terms of paid content, and then on top of that, you now have an AI on top of that. So like information and possibly good stuff is even more varied. So I don't know.
nope. I'm so glad you brought that up. Yeah. I feel that there's a question of who's controlling this information. And it's not necessarily a new question. We've seen it. That's why I wanted to look at the history of search. We've seen this changing over time. And you bring up ads as well. How is this going to continue to change? And how is that going to impact our critical thinking skills and our ability to practice those skills?
I think we've been seeing a lot of that also, just generally as a society, and how economies change over time, because we're very much in a knowledge and a data economy right now, and it's a little bit of the Wild West when it comes to proprietary algorithms and what data is being extracted. And
Absolutely.
I could go into a lot of this, but I think a great example is the paywalls that exist on like newspaper sites and publication sites, and how, actual valuable journalism is locked down. And then on the other hand, you have like pundits, political pundits that are pushing, fear mongering, and it's taken, as fact. Opinion is taken as fact, and that's kind of how we get that, polarization that we have, today, when you lock up knowledge, but then you let rhetoric run loose. Anyway, you could go into a lot of things and how this works, but really we just I think a lot of it is just understanding how the tool works and understanding, proper usage of the tool, and then noticing if people are using the tool talking about it, communicating. It's just talking to people, you know.
Absolutely. I think something that I think often about AI is this just exposing what has already been going on, and giving us the opportunity to talk about it. So as you mentioned, Laura, as Melinda mentions, some of this has been going on already, and I wonder whether it's just highlighting some of the things and that have already, some of the inequities that have already existed around information access, and many other things. And perhaps it then becomes an opportunity for us to make changes. That's the optimist in me, I guess. Yeah, thank you. All right, I want to get to some scenarios here so we can practice it. It sounds like we've encountered these summaries, but we're going to jump in. We're going to do a couple scenarios, and these are kind of to give us some chance for critical thinking. And we're moving from like a lower stakes up to more of a higher stakes. So I'm going to do this search here, Wuthering Heights release date. And I want you to think whether we can trust this answer, what we could do to verify this answer, what might be missing from this answer as well. And I will say, I tried all of these in planning it. I'm not going to get the same overview that I got when I searched it. I may not even get that is my alarm to let me know I'm running out of time. I may not get the same results or even get an overview whatsoever here. So you'll have to bear with me if these ones don't work out. But Wuthering Heights release date. And we have, I actually think there's our AI overview. That's going to be a snippet or a knowledge panel. And this is going to be an AI overview. Emerald Fennel's Wuthering Heights adaptation, released in the US and UK, February 13, 2026. Right. Can see even more. We've got some links in there. There's a link right there, a couple additional links here, a Wikipedia link. So we've got links. Going back to our question. So can we trust this answer? What steps can we take to verify what might be missing? What do you think about this answer?
Whether the results are actually official from say, the movie company.
Yeah. And do you think if we clicked on one of these links, if we took a look at some of these links, we might be able to answer that?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. Pretty simple one. You know, maybe that could be good. But a question I have is, what if I meant a different Wuthering Heights? This is recent, so it seems that Google may have assumed that I meant the movie that just came out. But what if I wanted to know about the original book or a previous movie? So an assumption is being made, even though I would say relatively, it's pretty straightforward. Or the Kate Bush song. Didn't even know there was one. I'm going to have to listen to that. I love Kate Bush, right? Yeah. Right. So an assumption is being made, maybe relatively benign. Maybe we can get our answer pretty quickly, but an assumption is still being made on a query like this. And we don't know why. They're not telling us why or how they're making that assumption. All right, let's take it a step further and let's ask, what supplements should I take? What supplements should I take? What supplements should I take? Again, don't know whether it'll give me one. Right, AI overview. Supplements should be tailored to individual needs. Okay, good to know, but commonly recommended evidence-backed options include vitamin D, omega-3, magnesium, vitamin B12. We've got some links there, and maybe we think, UC Health, right? I could click into that. I see maybe like a Stanford Medicine one here, right? I would, of course, want to click into those. Key supplements based on health goals and lifestyles. Okay. So it's telling me what supplements I should take. There are some important considerations here. And we could maybe click into and search and say, okay, well, Stanford Medicine, News Center, maybe I want to dig a little bit deeper into that. What do you think about this? Should we trust this answer? And just go to the store and buy all these supplements?
I would still talk to my doctor at least.
Still talk to your doctor at least?
Pharmacist.
What would we need to verify yet? Maybe I want to verify with my doctor. And Greg made a great point here. There's, when we ask a question like this, there's a little disclaimer. I am an AI, not a doctor. Oh, okay. Everything,
Responsibility.
all responsibility absolved. I'll just take 200,000 milligrams of vitamin D. Right, this information is for educational purposes. Should not be taken as medical device. And so what are the risks with what if someone trusts this answer? What could happen if someone trusts this answer? Not good things, perhaps, right? Iron supplements or B12 can help combat fatigue. And I think I'm tired. Let me go get some B12. Let me go get some iron, right? I think iron, you know, if you take too much iron, it can be quite bad for you. You can overdose on iron. Thank you, Laura. Thank you. Maybe, Greg, maybe. All right, I know I'm running out of time. This is a local one, so this is kind of an interesting one. Are calculators available, Spokane College? So how we're asking, how would we verify this? What happens when AI is overconfident, and who is most affected by local inaccuracies? So I love how this formatting is messing me up here. I actually don't know what would happen. Maybe I want to know, maybe I'm a student here. I live an hour away. I have a very limited time to get to campus, and I want to know, are there calculators available, Spokane College? And I see the AI overview and it says, yes, calculators are available at both STC and SFCC for student use. Options include daily or quarterly rentals from the Math Learning Center at SFCC and library or access to calculators at the SCC Business Student Support Center. Okay. How would I verify that information? Maybe click the link.
Depends. Also look at the overview, it would be general.
General information. I think, yeah, at least that, yeah, I know that. Yeah. We could definitely click in and click on some of these links here and learn a little bit more. Thought?
Well, if we're talking about SCC, for example, the SCC library page comes up like way at the bottom. As opposed to one of the first ones that they look at. So first, well, no, I mean, I'm talking about even in the references, the first one that comes up is SFCC.
Yep.
So we're not even like at the top.
Yeah. How's it making those choices, right? I also think about our calculators here in the SCC library that are checked out for a quarter and usually go pretty quick. So though it may say, yes, they're available at both, we may actually not have any available right now. And maybe someone's taken time off work or they've driven over here reading this. And then it turns out we actually don't have, we're all checked out for the quarter. Something to think about. Any other thoughts on that search? Okay, and then we have this one. Is there someone in my house? And we'll see what it does with this. It gave me an answer, an AI overview. Is there someone in my house? And it did give an AI overview for this. If you believe someone is in your house, do not investigate yourself. Immediately get to a safe place, lock the door, and call 911. Watch for signs like strange noises. Some of the sources that are being used here, a video from the Rachel Ray show about identifying if someone is in your house while you were away. Some safety steps, leave immediately, find a secure room, call 911. Tells us some signs of an intruder, right? Not sure what this is, right? This is a legal advice. I would, of course, want to be clicking more into these. Note, if you're experiencing persistent, unconfirmed feelings of fear, it's worth considering checking your carbon monoxide detectors, as carbon monoxide poisoning can cause paranoia. We have a Reddit link. We have a Brinks Home link. So a security device company. WikiHow. Right? So this one raises a lot of concerns for me. A lot of concerns. Does it raise concerns for anyone else?
Your smart
Yes.
TVs even have people who can look in on you, because they're using
Mhm.
AI and TV. Well, specifically Google at least, and automatically pick up your voice. I
Mhm.
have had it try to record me,
Sure.
because it has to get your voice model.
Yeah. Laura, I think I heard you start to say something there. Yes to
Yeah.
concerns?
Yes to concerns, because, I mean, it could be a joke. Is there someone in my house? Yes, there is. I am in my house.
It could be. I didn't think of that. I did not
You
think of
know, uh,
that.
is there someone in
Yeah.
my house? And then the AI overview says, if you believe someone is in your house, do not investigate yourself. But what if I'm not in my house? Right? So I mean, these are
Right.
also just kind of the ambiguity in the question,
Yeah.
too, is, how it can be interpreted, because AI can't interpret, nuance or joke or absurdism, the way that humans can. But I mean, is there someone in my house? Or is the person paranoid? Are they
Absolutely.
going through some sort of mental health crisis? A good one is the carbon monoxide detectors. People will do some weird stuff when they're being poisoned by carbon monoxide. So, there's a lot of different things. So these are things that, like, AI does nothing but feed people's fear.
Yeah. Feed people's fear. Yeah. I think that's a really scary part about it. If I'm paranoid and I come in here and I read this, is this reinforcing that paranoia? Is it unlocking a new paranoia that actually now I have carbon monoxide poisoning, right? Am I locking myself in a room calling 911 because AI told me to, right? What repercussions could come of that? Right. Yeah. Yeah. Don't ask about investigating paranormal activity, should I, Greg? In regards to the house? Is there a ghost in my house? Common signs of a haunted house include unexplained, according to Google AI, unexplained noises, cold spots, items moving. From Teen Vogue, the expert in paranormal activity. Teen Vogue, right? And dummies.com.
Hey, Teen Vogue has been doing some hard-hitting journalism lately.
They're known for their investigative work. Right. All right. We could spend all day looking through these, honestly. We could spend all day going through this. I definitely recommend experimenting and asking yourself some of these same types of questions. What are the risks? Do I trust this? How could I verify this? Who is most vulnerable? Who is this technology potentially impacting more than others? Right? We don't have time to keep going today. We're at 10:21. We're going till 10:30. So just a few final things here. Oh, of course, I did that. Opting out. So after everything we've seen today, who would like to opt out? So we're not sure, maybe. Okay, Greg has shared, Laura has shared DuckDuckGo's AI assist to Is My House Haunted? Signs your house may be haunted include flickering lights, strange sounds, cold spots, unusual animal behavior. However, many of these signs can also have logical explanations, so it's important to rule those out first. Very interesting. Very interesting. I don't think I opened the whole thing on Google, so I can't say, but I didn't see any, however, kind of phrasing or statements. AI needs to watch more X-Files, Greg said AI doesn't believe. Opting out, so I'll tell you right now, it's really tough. They're making it really hard to opt out. In fact, you cannot turn the setting off on Google. Bing suggests that you may be able to turn the setting off through settings, disable Copilot, but you have to be signed in. If you're just generally using Bing search, this does not work to turn it off, only if you sign in.
With Google, you can turn off some of the functions.
Yeah.
You just have to go into privacy settings.
Privacy settings, okay, I'll look into that. I found a couple ways. Thank you for sharing. I found a couple ways. Web filter mode. So if we're doing a Google search and I'm not gonna do it that time. So if we want to get rid of it, if we go to more and we go web, that will take it away. That's one way on Google. You shared some settings. I wonder if you have to be signed in for that as well.
Let me confirm.
This second one, you do have to be signed in, Labs Manage AI mode. That will allow you to turn the AI mode off. That's actually not what we've been using. The AI overviews are coming up on all AI mode is a whole other can of worms that we definitely don't have time to get into, but the ideas here certainly are important to take to any considerations of AI mode. So web will work. Adding minus AI to the search. This is one that some folks have said can work. I feel like anything is, sometimes it might just work for a short period of time, but putting that into your search, minus AI at the end. Another one that works, which I don't think any of us have time to use, is adding and UDM equals 14 to the URL right at the end there.
Actually, it's under lab settings. Not under.
Lab settings, okay, yeah, for the AI. AI web filter mode to me was like the most consistent way to get this off. Minus AI was working for some and it was easier. And I did also notice that using a domain search, like a site.edu search, would kind of default us into web mode. So if I do site.edu, is there a ghost in my house? And thanks for that. A domain search like this, site : and then the domain like .edu.gov can automatically get us past that as well. But again, what are we losing? We're filtering our own results now, and that could be a good thing. But we are also getting less access. Browser extensions seem to be an option that is mentioned most commonly, to use a browser extension on something like Chrome to help disable AI search results, which browser extensions are extremely helpful, but I also have questions about privacy and data as a result of downloading any browser extension, as well. So things to consider there. All right. I will have you guys do this one. I know we're right at time. This is actually the end of it, and this is kind of a final thoughts discussion. So if you don't mind, I'll have you do one more of these, and it is for you, ahaslides.com, 80D/80DMK. And these are just some final thoughts as you move through your day, sorry, it is ahaslides.com. And we're /80DMK. Did you get in?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, so that's the question. I'd love to have this data. Do you want to opt out? Yes, please. No, not sure. Yes, please. All right, we all would like to opt out. Well, now you know a couple ways to opt out, and hopefully a couple ways to engage in thinking about the responses critically as well. No, please. And again, so I asked you this question in the previous one. I'd love to see if this has changed. Do you trust AI generated answers in search results? Yes, always. Sometimes. No, never. I would love to see if we've changed, if anyone has gone over to the no, never camp. Maybe pushed into the yes, always, because that great TiVo resource. I think sometimes is a great way to go. Again, I like that Wuthering Heights example, right? Maybe that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted to know when the movie comes out because I want to go see the movie, right? Okay, and I got my answer. Boom. But maybe I wanted to know when the song came out or when the original book came out or something else related to that. So I think sometimes is a great way to go. And you can take this one with you. You don't have to answer now. I would love to hear if there are any questions that you're left with. Feel free to leave this open and share your answer through this. And this is going to help us as we're planning for future workshops as well. What are you left with about AI search, AI integration, and digital tools? What does this make you think? Think about what questions are you left with? You can take your time on that. I'll leave it open. And we're coming right up to time. So again, take your time thinking about questions. You can also feel free to email me or stop by the desk if you want to talk about this further or have questions or suggestions for future workshops. We're going to continue this conversation next week, and we're going to talk again about this idea of, is this becoming unavoidable? How are we now seeing AI being integrated into career workflows? Things both that we're doing on the job and in the job seeking process as well. AI interviews, right? AI resume prep, right? I'm making this PowerPoint. This PowerPoint has, Copilot will come up, things like that. So we're going to talk about this as well moving into next week. All right. So I hope you can join us. Again, we have it in person and online as well. And we'll share out this recording and this PowerPoint as well, so you can access any of the links in here. A couple additional links that I found quite interesting, but we just didn't have time to get into at the end here for you. And that's what I've got. All right, questions, thoughts?
Say, you've ever worked in an Amazon warehouse? You got everything's AI controlled,
Is it? Yeah, I'm not surprised to hear that.
even the forklifts.
Even the forklifts, that's scary.
No, literally,
Yeah,
it will guide you via
yeah,
sensor and say,
Mhm.
hey,
yeah,
it's called drive-by-wire.
drive-by-wire.
It's scary when it works really badly. I've had sometimes where it's thrown me around.
Well, I mean, it sounds quite scary indeed,
At
yeah.
least when you're
Mhm.
understanding that you don't fall off.
Yeah, or what if the forklift gets somebody, drives into somebody?
There is safety to prevent that.
There is,
I have seen
Yeah.
it fail.
yeah.
There's times I had to run in,
Mhm.
of course, I'm wearing full gear, I have harness, so if I have to hop on somebody's forklift, I can, or if I have to climb one of the racks, I
Mhm.
have the ability to get up there.
Yeah.
Not a fun job having to be safety for them.
And come back next week, we'll talk about those sorts of examples will be great to share as far as where we're actually seeing AI integrated in an unavoidable way in our everyday lives and jobs.
Even the door bolts.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. I'm gonna just stop the recording. Thanks, Laura. Thanks, Greg. I'm gonna stop the recording now, and that will be sent out as well. If I think I'm actually just stop the recording.